guys, Jessie here from Nailed It NZ, and it's that time of year again. October is my favourite time for YouTube because you can just go all out, and it's pretty fair to say that that is what I did today. In this tutorial I'll be showing you how I did this pretty disgusting look, as well as what I used and where I got the products from. Doing special effects stuff is seriously so much fun, and if you get the chance to do this, make sure you show me how it turned out because I would love to see. I've got more special effects nails coming up this Halloween, so make sure you subscribe to see them and hit that thumbs up button. So almost everything I'm using is from Body Effects, so I'll just list their links down below. This is their wax, and it's how I'm going to make the basic shape of the wound. It adjusts for pretty much any skin tone, so that's pretty handy. I'm using a metal spatula to apply it, and it's quite thin, which means you can also use it for the details. Scrape some wax out of the container and push it onto your skin. You can shape it first, but as this look is pretty flexible, I didn't bother. Keep adding wax around the area until you've got enough to play with, and then blend out the edges with your fingers. Use the tool to roughen up in the right areas. For example, I tried to make a few hangnails and that looked particularly gross. If your tool is a bit sticky, just clean it off with some Vaseline and some tissue or toilet paper. Use the edge of the tool to carve out a cut into the wax. There's no real right or wrong way to do this, really, it's just playing around with what looks good to you. Preferably you don't want the wax to be too thick as it can look a bit unnatural. I'm still very new to this, so mine was a bit too thick in places, but it still turned out okay, and hey, it's just for fun. Once you're happy with your cuts, apply some translucent powder. I shook this on for this first nail, it just didn't seem right, so then I completely changed my tactic for the rest of them, as you will see later in the video. I then decided to use this brush for the face paint, and then use the red and black from my kit to fill out the cut. This gives the cut a whole lot more depth. I tried to use the black also to bruise up my nail, but didn't work out too well, and you'll see what I used instead in a moment. Get just a little bit of the red and maybe a dash of the black out onto your brush and use it to create swelling and bruising around the cut. This makes a huge difference and makes it look really sore and realistic. You want to blend it out at the edges, so just wipe off most of the colour off your brush and just slowly drag it around and blend it out. Now it's time for the really fun stuff, the blood. I'm using coagulated blood from Body Effects. Apply this into the inside of your cut. I initially used the spatula, but I found this little brush actually really good for spreading it around. Pull it out past the edge of your cut so it looks like it's weeping, and dab it a little bit with your finger. I then decided it didn't really look inflamed enough for the amount of blood I just added, so I also added some more of the red face paint around that area. I then added a few drops of another kind of blood. This one is more syrupy and a bit darker as well. I just gave it that little bit extra. A few little touch-ups, and then I added some black food colouring to make the fingernails a bit bruised looking. I used a separate brush for this too and blended it with my finger. And yeah, so that's this nail pretty much done. I'll quickly run you through two other nails so you can see what I did differently in those ones. So for the index finger I made two cuts instead of one, and I made them a bit smaller because the first one was pretty big. I also added in some more hangnails and some loose skin. As I mentioned earlier, I tried a new thing with the translucent powder and used this little brush, and it was way easier. I then filled it in with face paint and highlighted the little cuts I'd made at the side of the bigger ones. Also with the redness on this one, I made it more of a purpley red, not as bright as the other ones, but that's really a matter of preference really, because like darker reds look more like a bruise, whereas in lighter reds look like swelling or just inflammation in general. For the last nail, I just made one long ragged cut and then carried on as usual. Let me know which nail is your favourite, by the way, the grosser the better of course. Here are all four of the nails, and here is a mess I made all over the paper from wiping my brush. This really doesn't take as long as it might look, and I imagine the more you do it, the faster you get as well. Remember to let me know what other videos of this kind you'd like to see. Please subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching. And just roughly sketch on the shapes of the flowers. These don't need to be too precise, they're just there to make sure that the colours we put over the top stand out nice and bright. Then it's time for the colour. Use pink for the lightest flower.